Yeah, I think it's an apron build. Ha ha! That's where that went. Hey everybody, Adam Savage in my cave. And Crunch Labs has called. And they are doing some fun things with our neighbors, the corvids. You know these as crows and ravens, but it is a larger family of highly intelligent birds that can do all sorts of problem solving, and they even seem to have a sense of self and consciousness without a frontal cortex. Crows have long been one of my all-time favorite animals. I'm slowly trying to befriend the crows in the Mission District. I've got some unsalted peanuts on my deck, and every time I see them, I put them out, and they're slowly getting used to me. But Crunch Labs is doing some fun demonstrations of the intelligence of crows. They have done this previously with octopuses and with squirrels. Now they're doing it with the corvidae. And they have asked me to help with the building of the set and the final reveal. They want it to look like a Victorian or Age of Enlightenment study where this crow filming will happen. And they have asked me to build the final reveal. And they've told me that what they want is a birdcage that looks elaborate and fitting into the context. They'd like it to be a dark value because what they're revealing is light. And they want it 20 inches square at the base and about 30 inches tall. I've found an inspiration for what I want to follow to make this. And I'm gonna do this build with anything one builds. There's a million ways to execute it. And there's executing it on the clock for someone else. There's executing it under a budget of either time or money or materials or tools. There's executing it as a gift. Today's build, I'm going to execute as if I'm working for a theater. And it's almost 2 p.m. and they want it by showtime. I'm going to try and complete this by 7 p.m. tonight. 4 or 5 hours is the goal. Because I think that's a useful exercise. That's the kind of stuff that you do in theater. Hey, we need a bird cage because the director wants to see something by tonight's rehearsal. And in those cases, you make very different sets of instruction. You make very different sets. How do I say this? You set different priorities and execute them accordingly. But a time constraint is one of my favorite constraints. So I'm going to start with gathering a bunch of material on here that is roughly the right size for what I'm doing. And then I'm going to gather the tools. I'm really excited about this. I never start a build at 2 p.m. That's ludicrous. So here we go. I'm going to have open archways cut out here, and I wanted to detail them. So I cut some of this foam PVC. This is known as Sintra. And I basically, I'm going to use this as a detail strip on my arches. It'll become really clear. And as such, I gave it this, can you see? Oh, there you go. See that cross section? That will press fit onto the plywood I'm using here and give me a detail piece. So it's a lot of it's a lot of bang for the buck. This is one of those operations that there's a lot of ways to do it, and many of them are dangerous. So I needed to cut the notch out, and then I also needed to cut the piece out. I chose to cut the notch first and then the piece, and that's the much safer way to go about it. I've got a zero kerf plate on the table saw, so this wasn't in danger of falling through. But the other thing that I was doing was I was never relaxing focus. This thing can harm you, particularly when you're doing tedious stuff on it when you're repeating a movement. And it's really important not to get automatic about your movements, even as you're trying to automate the process and be methodical about it. Don't ever let the part of the brain go that's paying attention to where your hands are in space, because only experienced helicopter pilots crash. This is true. So I'm just standing there. The 2 times I've seen people get bit by machines was exactly in that. They're doing something, they're zoning out. Back to the assembly of materials. So birdcage includes cage. So what I've got is some 16th inch brass. I have a King's Ransom in 1/16 inch brass. But I'm going to want it to go in quickly and easily, and so I drilled these strips of walnut that I had, and I drilled them so that they will align with each other and allow me to slot in my birdcage things. And these are through holes, and these are not. These are the bottoms. And so that is, wait. Keep on, my brain hurts. I have to drill one more bottom. I'm gonna cut these 2 in half this way, and that will give me 4 of these, but I need 2 more of the bottoms. These don't drill all the way through, and I need 2 more of those. It's just the way I like to build stuff. So I'm gonna drill again. Let's take a look at this. 1/8. Oh. 4 O's, not 5. I'll be honest, when I'm doing this, I'm not going to that level of accuracy every time. If I'm within 2 thou, the hole is drillable. But it's a fun exercise to do the math and to keep on doing that. Okay, I'm gonna make those cuts, and then I've got all my starter strips for the brass, and then I need to make some detail stuff. I'm aware I could have gone out and bought some molding, but this is emergency build, and I'm going off the fact that I've got to make my own. I'm going to be slicing these on the table saw for some detail. There's 3 more of these to do. Hey, whoops. That's pretty good. That's most of what I need for the basic form of my birdcage. And now I'm going to go around the corner because here near me in the Mission is Discount Fabrics, and I've got to go find a fabric. I'll be right back. Did I say Discount Fabric? I meant Fabric Outlet. This is my fabric. It is an off-white, almost a yellow, but what I love about it is it's got these embroidered holes in it. That's going to allow me to get a Roman curtain reveal inside this birdcage. So, aside from some solder, yeah, that's a rough drawing of what I'm thinking about doing here. That's got me close. I'm doing 3 arches instead of 4 to save myself a little labor. But yeah, that's an hour and 30 minutes to assemble all the parts of this build. Now I'm going to use the bathroom and have a soda and get started. Minus the thickness of one. That's going to be 7. Wait a second. All right. The top is gluing in. It's settling out. There's going to be a hero side to this. The bottom is painted. I'm really happy with how that came out. Top is still drying. There's some glue under there. That glue has to set. I'm going to leave it overnight. Then I paint that. Then we're kind of done. That was 6 hours in and out. I know, it's not done. It's not 6 hours. It's like 7 hours. It's like a full day. It's a one-day build that would have taken a day if I'd started at the beginning of the day. It's almost 8 o'clock. It's time for me to go home and have a trick dog because I'm hungry, I'm tired, and I'm satisfied. It was a good day. They can put lights in here. They can have stained glass if they want. Otherwise, just fabric on the inside. It's going to be so good looking. All right. Let this set. When I turn this on again, it'll be tomorrow. Oh, good morning. Oh, wait. As advertised, it's the next morning. Let's just see what kind of, how we did. One of the things we do in props is we do things called hiding crimes. There's a buckle over here in this, and if I just painted this black and then weathered it, that buckle's going to show up, or it could show up. And look, I'll be honest with you, like old stuff like this made in the 19th century, 18th century was super janky built, right? Like things aren't centered, things aren't measured or bilaterally symmetrical as much as we're used to today. So a little bit of wonkiness actually aids and abets the authenticity of this. But on these big curved surfaces, these big flats, I know there's a difference between a curve and a flat, but what I mean is these wide expanses of unbroken space tend to show the problems with the build. They tend to highlight the problems with the build. So I'm going to add texture to the roof here. You will see, and it will, when I paint it, distract a lot about your eye. You know what I mean. Yeah, let's get started. I play the album. I'm so happy with how this is going, by the way. Gangbusters. We are 7 hours into this build, and I'm about to give... let's talk about this thing. Right now, it has texture and it has form, but it doesn't have much detail. And by that I mean, because I painted it all black, you can't really see the raised edges. You can kind of sense them, but you can't really see them. So now the goal is to paint this in a way that it's much more visible. And Crunch Labs wants it to have a slightly dark value. So I'm going to keep the bottom here black-ish, but I may dry brush some lighter color on there. Also some gold and silver, we'll see. I'm not sure how this finishes, but I know what the next step is. The next step is to do a copper roof treatment, to do a verdigris finish on this. That is the color of the Statue of Liberty. That is a copper tarnish, and I'm going to give the roof here a copper tarnish. And to do that, I'm going to use a mix of some of my one of the key aspects of tarnish is phthalo green, P-T-H-A-L-O, and I've got a couple here, a light turquoise and a yellow shade phthalo green. I've also got a green gold, and I've got a Hansa yellow medium. The bright yellow is actually a weird way to pick up a verdigris finish. Anyway, I'm about to give this a shot, and then afterwards we'll add some rust stuff. And then once I see this as that kind of roof, then we'll go from there. When you're painting architectural models, nice sharp transitions help with scale. So it's nice to not let your paint carry across. I'm really happy with how this came out. I was inspired by some French bird cages I found online from the 18th century. Oh, I even found a better color, chromium oxide green and green gold. Well, I've got more green gold. Yeah. Anyway, I'm making up a palette here. All right, so I've just laid down the first bit of green, and I'm sure it's terrible. This always happens, always like this. Whoa! Ha ha! Dude! Oh, yeah! Wow! All right. Ah, my hands! It looks like I'm turning into Swamp Thing. I'm adding a little bit of rub and buff on the high points. These will kick light, and these will just give you a subliminal idea that this is made of copper. Now, it turned out that the key here was Spanish copper, this stuff, but my Spanish copper was really old. If your rub and buff gets really old, you can resuscitate it with a little bit of acetone. But I am really, really happy with how this came out. All right. I was attaching this lovely embroidered fabric to the inside of this. I was using a tool which you might not know about. This is a T50 air stapler. So it takes the normal staples that you would use for like putting garage sale signs up. We'll include a link to one you can purchase in the description. This is ready for crunch. They may want to art direct some slight differences in it, which is totally fine with me, but I've left it as a very reasonable platform. I gave them a pick point in the middle. See that beam across the middle? They can fly it from, oh wow. Ooh, wait, I can't let go of it again. They can fly this. It's very lightweight. It's very stable. You know, I wanted to make sure it was safe for the people on set. And again, once they get on set, Crunch team, including my good friend John Marcoux and Bob Hugfelder, will be brilliant about getting this that final 10 feet to what exactly production wants. But this was fun. 10 and a half hours all in. Yeah, I was I was way off the mark with my beginning guess about this. Thank you guys for joining me. I will see you next time. Frequently a coda, right? I came in the next morning and I had a thing that I realized I was missing. I'm really happy with how this came out. I like the brass accents in here in the shop, and it's in the general lighting scheme here in the shop. It's getting a little washed out. It's going to be, I think, quite lovely on set. But I want to add one Victorian kick that is like a trick to your eye. And it involves taking some of these corners, these brass corners, and putting one on each of the corners down here. Now it's not going to do that much. Well, smells smart. I guess I could put one up there too. But those are all the brass. Here's the thing about rounded corners. They kick light no matter where it's coming from. So you get a little bing reflection off of it. And that little tiny bit of brass reflection right there is actually enough to give your eye the idea of brass, along with wood and verdigris, right? So it's like communicating the central ideas really quickly and sort of tricking you into feeling like there might be more brass work on there than you think. Anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm just going to hot glue these on. I'm going to include a couple of extra in an envelope for crunch. That's how I would do it if I was doing a theater prop. We're just going to pop it on there. Tweak. Yeah. If you're wondering how this kind of thing can be useful to you, here's exactly how. You could have something and the director says, I want it to look more Edwardian. You're like, what does that mean? And you're like, I don't know. So you might do something like add cabochons, little button details here, or a strip of brass around there. Those are the kind of details I would seek to add. Little tiny things that gave a harbinger, and metallics can be amazing on something with not a lot of metallic kicks on it because they'll draw your eye. And the whole goal is that you see it and you stop. The goal with the prop, in my opinion, is that you see it and it integrates into the plot, and then you stop thinking about the object itself. It just becomes part of the fluid of storytelling. That's getting real deep for a, nugget reveal. But still, like, all of those rules hold. Like, Crunch is putting a lot of attention into this Victorian set, and I want this to fit and play the part. All right. I think I'm probably done. Oh, what? I have one more thing I want to age down. I want to age down raw on there.
Have it?
What just happened there is I looked at it on my camera, and my camera shows, see, what you see is a lot more white than I see in person. And it's like the bleach white comes out. It's almost like I could saturate them all. That's better. Yeah, that's much better. That's more like what I expect. That's it. The camera's also not a bad arbiter of what your eye will see under studio lighting. Yeah! All right. Is that the final coda? Who could say?